What's up everybody, you're very welcome along to the latest Anfield Agenda transfer roundup video. I've decided I'm going to start to try and do these videos, make them about 8-10 minutes long, to give you guys a bit of an update on what it is I've just spoken about on the late night agenda, because I know a lot of times people don't have an hour or 45 minutes to go and watch an entire stream and want their transfer news a bit quicker and a bit punchier. So let's get straight into it. I want to give a shout out, by the way, to two things before I start. Firstly, the new studio. Thank you to Connor for his amazing work as always on that one. And secondly, I want to give a shout out to my new channel, Craig Station. There will be a link in the description. Craig Station is basically going to be just more of me being me, but without a football context. So I'll be chatting to people in the industry that I find really interesting, that I find fun. I'll be bringing you some good news and light-hearted shows. The first two interviews I recorded today. I recorded with Jack McDermott. You probably know him as Pieface. What a wonderful guy that was. Brilliant chat with him. And I also did Al Foran as well, recorded with him. Al Foran you'll probably know from the Conor McGregor impersonations, the Robert De Niro impersonations, and many, many other. He's probably one of Ireland's foremost impressionists, and a damn fine lad as well. Now, he is a United fan, but I won't hold that against him. So keep an eye out for those videos dropping early next week over on Craig Station, and you'll find the link in the description. But look, let's get talking, and let's talk about this gentleman first. Neuhaus, Borussia Mönchengladbach's Florian Neuhaus, a name that at the start of the transfer window was right there at the forefront of the midfielders that we've been linked with. Now, I've always been really honest and told you guys that my understanding of the situation was that he's probably going to join Bayern Munich in a year. Now, the player himself denied that, but the news that keeps coming out kind of plays into that story, because it looks like, and it's been reported by a French channel here, Sport 1, that Neuhaus is going to stay at Borussia Mönchengladbach for another season, which kind of leads back into what I spoke about, the belief that he'll do another year at Mönchengladbach and then make his way to Bayern Munich and be part of Julian Nagelsmann's revolution there at Bayern. So, you know, I know a lot of Liverpool fans had liked the look of the guy. I've always been honest and said before we were linked with him, I knew very little about Neuhaus. So I think this is one that we can finally start to put to bed. It looks like he's staying at Mönchengladbach for another season, and you know, if my hunch is right, he'll end up at Bayern Munich in a year or so's time. If not, well then, look, we'll see what happens with the guy. But that's the first one that I just wanted to touch off. And look, I know a lot of you guys are probably coming onto this video and hoping that I'm going to be breaking some news or coming down and telling you stuff that you want to hear. I'm always honest. I'll give you what I know, what I've read, and what I believe, but I will never lie to you, and I'll never try and, you know, lure you in with clicks of promises of breaking news stories and stuff unless we have them. So the next name I want to talk about, it's a little bit more optimistic, is this gentleman here, Saul Niguez of Atleti. What do we know? Well, it's probably one of the most protracted transfers of the summer, or links of the summer. So at the end of last season, it was pretty much known that Atleti wanted to go out and sign Rodrigo de Paul from Udinese. It was also put out there that Saul could be allowed to move on. I've always been told and read that they want about £5 million more than that they're going to, or that they have signed Rodrigo de Paul from Udinese. Now, Saul has a buyout clause in his Atleti contract of €150 million. They don't expect that to be paid from, and it looks like that the options are slowly starting to be ticked off here for Saul. So we had seen him linked with Barcelona. There was talk of an exchange for Antoine Griezmann. That was put to bed really quickly, because we know right now Barcelona just can't register players because of their financial situation. Then we'd heard that a move to the Premier League was most likely for him, and AS, I think a Spanish publication, as you can see from under the image there, are reporting that a bid will come in for Saul soon. Now it looks like right now Liverpool are probably the most likely destination for him. That doesn't mean he's going to be 100% a Liverpool player, but it does make sense. If we lose Gini Wijnaldum, we bring in a 26-year-old Saul, somebody with a very, very good injury record, somebody who's coming off the back of winning La Liga with Atleti last season, somebody who's very, very well versed in European football, and somebody who under Diego Simeone has, you know, shown that he has a ruthless and tough streak in him. So I'd more than happily have Saul at Liverpool. I hope that we hear news of a bid or more concrete information in the coming days, but it does look like that this source AS believe that his future will be resolved in the coming days, and it looks like he wants to come to England. So if you join the dots, it's very easy to understand why we're the club probably at the forefront of this conversation, and I would very, very happily have the gentleman at Liverpool. So keep your fingers crossed on this one. If I get more information on it, I'll let you know. I have reached out to my friends in Spain to see if I can get a little bit more on it. Maybe there's some stuff lost in translation or some intricacies that they'll be able to fill me in on. As of yet, I haven't heard back. As soon as I do, as always, you guys will be the first ones to know. The next one I wanted to have a chat about, ladies and gentlemen, is this gentleman here, Adama Traore. So I caught up with Dave Azzopardi from Talking Wolves, and we had a chat around Liverpool's interest in Adama Traore and in Pedro Neto as well. Now, on Adama Traore, there's a couple of things. It does look like, as I've said, and as Dave backed up in the video, Wolves are apparently open to moving on Adama Traore and Ruben Neves. I mean, they need to free up some money to try and do a bit of a squad rebuild themselves. But I don't know if it's a secret to you guys, but I've certainly been saying it for a while. My big concern about Adama Traore, it's twofold. Firstly, he hasn't got the finished product for me, but there is an argument to say that under Jurgen Klopp and Pep Linders and the quality of coaches we have at Liverpool, that maybe that could be developed. But last season, I think 1 goal, 0 assists, something like that in the league. Not a great return for somebody of the attributes of Adama Traore. We've heard Jurgen Klopp describe him as unplayable at times, and you know, there's no doubt that there's potential there in the lad. But my big concern, the major concern I have, is with his shoulder, because he has dislocated his shoulder, I think maybe twice last year and 4 times the year before. You've often seen him come on and he's got baby oil on, and a lot of people think that's just to stop him being grabbed or have his jersey pulled. Yes, that's sort of the case, but it's also to stop him being dragged to the ground, because that shoulder could easily dislocate again. And the last thing I'd want is already having some doubts about a signing, and then, you know, having to worry about injuries, and, you know, is it known in the Premier League? Will he be targeted? Could we miss him for big games? Loads of stuff that just makes me think there's probably better value out there, and you'll see prices ranging from 25 million probably right up to 40 million for Adama Traore. But for me, I think Liverpool can do better, and I'd like to see us do better. So as always, I'd love to know your thoughts on Adama or that link in the chat. But for me, I'd say pass, and I think that we could probably do better business elsewhere. And the last name today is this guy here, Chiesa, Federico Chiesa. Loads and loads and loads of links have been popping up over the last few days from Italy, from Twitter, from everywhere, to say that Liverpool were ready to launch an £86 million or €100 roughly bid for Federico Chiesa. I never believed it to be true in any way, shape or form. It made no sense to me whatsoever. He's not somebody who we'd seen linked to Liverpool really before the Euros, and obviously with Italy going and having such an impressive European Championships, some of their players delivering like top tier performances, it's easy to understand why these links are being made. But I told you I didn't think it was true, and late last night Fabrizio Romano put out a tweet, I think it was around 3 AM, to say that, you know, you can put this to bed, there's nothing to it, he won't be coming to Liverpool, Liverpool aren't in for the player, and the plans are for him to stay there with Juventus and you know, continue his development. So, you know, again, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I'll always be honest with you guys in what I think, what I know, or what I read into a situation. So here's the good news though. Let me just remove this gentleman from the screen and I'll get to the good news. My understanding is that we will make a couple of signings in the window, but my own personal belief is we need to do a couple of things first. We need to free up as much wages and as many overseas squad places as we can. And to do that, you'll need to move on more of the likes of Origi and Shaqiri and whatnot. But the good news is that I think that we're being very coy, very clever in the window, because I think Michael Edwards is waiting to see how much financial pressure ratchets up on clubs around Europe as they look to move players on as that transfer deadline approaches and their finances become more and more perilous. And that is where I think Michael Edwards and Liverpool will excel. And I hope I'm right here, because I'll be really frustrated if I'm wrong, but I do believe we will see a couple of really clever bits of business done by Liverpool before the transfer window opens, or closes, excuse me. Who they are, I don't know, I won't lie to you, but I do think that there's a reason and a methodology to what we're doing. So look, that's this week's transfer roundup, or the latest transfer roundup I should say. I'm going to try and do these as regularly as I can. Don't forget to check out Craig's Station, Anfield Agenda Extra as well. Drop a like on the video, hit that subscribe button, and I will talk to you guys very, very soon. Take care, all the best.